Good day, sir. I'm Kin Sabdalman, BS Cream 2C, and now I will read to you the following topics. A. Interview. Interview defined. It is the questioning of a person believed to possess information which are relevant to the investigation of a crime or criminal activities. Second is the golden rule in interview. Never conduct or let anyone conduct an interview if the interviewer has not gone to the crime scene. The questioning should be in agreement with the facts and conditions at the crime scene. The questioning will lead wayward for the interviewer who had not seen personally the crime scene, and he will not be in the position to distinguish half-truths, exaggeration, or falsehood from the answer of the persons being interviewed. Third is qualities of good interviewer. A. Rapport defined. It is the relation between the interviewer and interviewee, which is conductive to a fruitful result. It is winning the confidence of a person being interviewed in order that he will tell all the information in his possession. The interviewer must be respectable civilian attire because most often and the majority people, the police in uniform is a barrier in establishing good rapport. Too many, the uniforms is intimidating. B. Forceful personality. The appearance of the interviewer and other qualities such as skills of communication techniques or the force of his language are the mainstays of the strength of his character. He must be understanding, sympathetic, and without showing official arrogance, vulgarity of expressions, and an air of superiority. C. Knowledge of human behavior. This will help the interviewer to determine the personality and intelligence of his subject. He must go down and up to the level of understanding of his particular subject. D. Conversational tone of voice. His tone of voice must be conversational, not confrontational, as in interrogation. E. Common interest. His preliminary and probing questions should be aimed to establish common interest between him and the subject. F. Acting qualities. He must possess the qualities of an actor, salesman, and psychologist, and how to use the power of persuasion. G. Humility. He must be courteous, sympathetic, and humble, ready to ask apologies for the inconvenience of the interview. Fourth is cognitive interview defined. It is a form of or technique in the conduct of interview upon willing and cooperative witnesses, where they are given to full opportunity to narrate their accounts without invention, interruption, and interference from the interviewer. After the subject has finished his narration, the investigator now subjects him to the style of direct examination and cross-examination to clarify the unexplained portions to arrive at a vivid and complete picture of his testimony. In the case of subject of low level of intelligence, the use of leading question greatly helps the investigator to obtain the full and desired information. Fifth, reason why witnesses refuse to talk and testify. A. Fear of reprisal. The fear of reprisal is always entertained by witnesses who lack the courage of face the subject, his associates, or relatives. This is natural, especially those who are no means to protect themselves or no influential person for them to rely on. This prevalent among the generally and underprivileged sectors of our society. The investigator must remove their fears from the mind of his witnesses either by offering protection or by the explanation that unless the suspect is not put behind bars, the fear will not disappear. The investigator's power of persuasion plays a vital role. B. Great inconvenience. On a part of those hands-to-mouth existence, there is a real inconvenience which will deprive them to the time earned to their living, especially during the ordeal or testifying during the trial. To those unemployed, the inconvenience is greater. Thus, the investigator must sincerely help them through his contacts with the business community. C. Hatred against the police. The hatred may be due to previous bad experience with the Rugi members of the police organization. The investigator must show the difference between him and the Rugi policeman by honest and sincerely entertainment of the complaint against the rogue cops. He must explain that these scalawags represent only a small percentage of a whole organization and the police leadership is addressing the situation properly. A calling card of an investigator given to this kind of witness will greatly help the situation, promising immediate help of there is the recurrence of the bad experience. D. Bias of witnesses. The witness may be acquaintance, friend, helper, or benefactor of the suspect. All of this and other relationship of the witness to the suspect must be explored so that an intelligent approach so is properly applied. E. Avoidance of publicity. There are witnesses who are shy and shun publicity that will bring discomfort to their ordinary obscure way of living. The investigator must hide these witnesses away from reporters. F. Family restriction. Some famous and respected families preserve their reputations by instilling to the members the need of the approval of their elders on matter affecting their families. The investigator must talk to the elders to their approval for a member to testify. G. Bigotry. Religious or racial, tribal or ethnic indifference. H. Cultish indoctrination. Some cults or religious denomination exercise religious or moral influence on decision of witnesses to testify. It would be more apparent with the witnesses and the suspect belong to the same cult. The investigator must use the tenet of religion which is truth to the religious leaders and allow their members to tell the truth and give the required testimonies testimonial evidence. This is prevailing in our society even the point of career advancement. 6. 6 is common technique applicable to the foregoing reasons. Many of these witnesses want that they will not utilize as normal witnesses but to remain anonymous. The investigator must initially agree the testimonies be given the shroud of confidentially. After the full disclosure in the information, the investigator, when persuades these witnesses to be utilized as formal witnesses, especially when there is necessity of the testimonial evidence, the power of persuasion plays a key role. 7. The stage of handling the interview. A. Is preparation. The investigator should review the facts at the crime scene and information from other sources in order that they would be ready for the questioning. A background data of the subject should be available so that he could adapt himself to the kind of approach to be employed. B. Approach. The investigator must carefully select this kind of approach, which may be a single kind, a combination of two or more application of all techniques. C. Is warming up. This is done preliminary or exploratory question to clear the atmosphere, promote a conductive ground of cordiality, respect, and trust for each other. D is cognitive interview. The subject now is asked to narrate his account without interruption, intervention, and interference. It is only after the completion of the uninterrupted narration that the investigator begins his direct and cross-examination. 8. Roles in questioning. A. One question at a time. Multiple, complex, and legalistic question should be avoided. One question at a time is desired. B. Avoid implied answers. The nod of the head of any other body language as a response to the questions should be avoided. The answers must oral, clear, explicit, and responsive to the questions. C. Simplicity of questions. A short, simple questions at the time is required. If it answers needs qualifications, then it should be allowed. Avoid legalistic questions such as who is the murderer or who are in conspiracy with the suspect. D. Saving faces. Embarrassing questions on the subject on matters of exaggeration or honest errors about time, distance, and description can be avoided if the investigator will cooperate with the subject to save his face. The investigator should not fault or ridicule the subject of these matters. E. Yes or no answers. Do not ask questions which could be answered by yes or no. It will curtail the complete flow of information and will lead in inaccuracy. Ninth is types of witnesses according to their attitudes. A. Knowing nothing type. This is the reluctant types of witnesses. They are found among the uneducated and of low level of intelligence. The technique of the applied is go down to their level of intelligence and or by interrogation. B is disinterest type. This is the uncooperative and indifferent subject. To deal with them is to find out their field of interest so that they will talk. Their indifference should be demolished to arouse their interest or to be flattered. C is drinking type. The style of questioning by the investigator should be adapted to the psychology of the subject. When a drunken subject has sobered, another interview will be conducted, confronting him about disclosures while in the state of drunkenness. The written statement must be taken during sobriety. D is suspicious type. This type of witnesses are suspicious about the motive and action of the investigator. The barrier of the suspicions may be removed by sincere explanations or psychological pressure. E. Talkative type. These are witnesses who are prone to exaggerated, adding irrelevant or new matters to their narrations. The skillful investigator should prune the unnecessary matters from the relevant ones. F. Honest witnesses. These are the truthful or cooperative witnesses where the investigator could rely upon with little one no problem in handling them. G. Deceitful witness. These are the liar type of witnesses. Let them lie and order them to repeat several times their narrations. They will be immersed in contradictions. If possible, the lies must be tape recorded for the confrontation about their contradiction. Pressure them for possible cases of perjury or obstruction of justice, and they will tell the truth. H. Timid witnesses. They are the shy witnesses. The approach must be friendly and reassuring confidentially of their information. They should be hidden from the devouring press by interviews or photo sessions. I. Boasting, egoistic, or egocentric witnesses. They will be good witnesses because of their ability of expressing their accounts of the commission of the crime. Then the investigator must be patient in dealing with them in order to not to bruise their ego or self-pride. They are susceptible to add color or importance in their role as witnesses, probably underrating the accounts or others. J is refusal to talk witnesses. This is the most difficult subject to deal with. Find out the reasons of their silence by exploring deeper into the kind of their personality. The cause may be trauma, shock, fear, hatred, and others. Remove these features of silence and they will start talking. 10th is statement analysis. This is a new name in criminal investigation but got new in actual practice. What is new is the term. It began in United States when the human reported to the police the disappearance of their children while on board her packed car. The car also disappeared with the children. The police for the consideration time scoured the area, interviewed scores of witnesses who claimed to have seen nothing. A police expert carefully analyzed the videotape recording of a woman who went to the TV station to appeal for their children. The analysis led to a suspicion and the woman was placed under exhausted interrogation where she confessed that she drove the car the river because her live-in partner does not like her children from a former marriage. The car, together with the dead children, was subsequently retrieved from the floor of a river. This is not a new practice in our jurisdiction. Every complaint and testimonies of witnesses are subjected to the credible of truth, lest the investigator will the ignorant and unmindful weapons of deception frame up incriminatory machination against the innocent. Utmost care must be exercised before concluding the culpability of the suspect. This is the rule in the art of criminal investigation and detection. 11 is complaints and testimonies be reduced to writing. Complaints and testimonies should be reduced into writing in the form of questions and answers. Never use affidavit from even the testimonies of apprehending officers. This affidavit form is frowned upon by our courts, especially when there will be variance between the affidavit and witnesses' stand account. The court even went to the extent that the truth is witness stand account because the answers in the affidavit was not the witness but the police investigator who prepared the affidavit. The narration of the witness must be based on the rules of cognitive interview. All these complaints and testimonies must be placed under oath before an officer authorized to administer oath. B. Informants. Informants defined. An informant is any person who furnishes the police an information relevant to a criminal case about the activities of criminal or syndicates. The informant may openly give the information or offer himself to be witness. The other kind is the one who furnishes the policeman and information surreptitiously and opts to remain anonymous. Second is confidential informant. Defined. He is a person who provides the policeman with confidential information concerning a past crime or a project and planned crime. He does not want to be identified as the source of the information. Under the law, these informants are protected and their identity could not be revealed by the police even under the order of the court unless on exceptional case where there is a claim of the defense that the informants frame up the accused. Third is the type of informants. A is anonymous informant. He may be an anonymous phone caller, letter writer, or a text sender. Never tell an informant that the investigator already knows the information. The duty is to receive the information, not to reveal any other information to the caller about the facts already known. B. Rival elimination information. This kind mostly maintains being anonymous. His purpose is to eliminate the rival person or gang due to competition or other motives such as revenge or etc. C is false informants. Usually reveals information of no consequence, value, or stuff connected with the thin air. His purpose to appear to be on the side of a law and for throwing out the suspicion for himself of from his gang or associates. D is frightened informant. He is prodded by fear or self-interest in giving information to the police. He may be one who lizard gang member who runs to the police when his gang mates are about to involve in dangerous situation or when the gang he belongs is hot on the police trail. He is motivated by anxiety and self-preservation of his well-being and will furnish the information to protect himself and as a means of sustaining his feeling of self-importance. This type of weakest link in the composition for the criminal chain. E. Self-aggrandizing informants. This kind of informants move around the centers of criminals, group, or syndicates and delights in surprising the police about bits of information. His information. His information may be of value by way of authentication in intelligence operation. F is mercenary informant. The informant has information for sale. He may be victimized in double cross or little share in the loot of giving a dirty deal or seeks revenge as well as profit in his disclosure. J is double crosser informant. He uses his seeming desire to divulge information as an excuse to talk to the police order to get more than he gives. To encounter this kind of informants, the police apply the deception method by giving him false information that will lead to his capture. H is woman informant. She may be the female associate of the criminals who was roughed up, marginalized in the deal of being is from the group. Care must be given for this kind of informant because women, given the skills and expertise, are more dangerous than men. The often give free romance that will result in blackmailing in the investigator or will result to an extended family to support. I is legitimate informant. Those who desires to give information springs from legitimate reasons. They may business operators who abhor the presence of criminals in their trade and parents who are afraid to their siblings will be influenced by their friends who are suspected to be criminals. Other are included with their desires to give information are impressed with the lawful motives. Fourth is motive informant. Motive of informants. A. Vanity. The motive is for self-aggrandizement by gaining favorable attention and importance by the police. B. Civic-mindedness. Those imbued with the sense of duty and obligation to assist the police in their task. C is fear. Is the engendered illusion of oppression from enemies or from impending dangers. D is repentance. To those lesser criminals such as accomplices or accessories who will have a change in heart to unburden their conscience. C is informers. Informers defined, he is the person who provides information to the police on a regular basis. They are either paid regularly or in case-to-case basis or not at all. They are cultivated as established by the police on a more or less permanent character and as long as they are loyal and useful to the police organization. Second is the proverbial basis. They saying us, it needs a thief to catch another thief. The story of the French police proved that this saying is true. The elite French Surete task force investigate criminal cases hired an ex-convict as an informer. This convict produced outstanding successes in the solution of cases seemingly difficult to be solved. The ex-convict later became the chief of the French Surete and the man was Vidocq. Third is selection of informers. There is no hard and fixed rule in the selection of informers. This is addressed to the sound discretion of the investigator. The informer may be to a fixed period of assignment or into a case-to-case basis. The informer must be indoctrinated that they are not immune from arrest and prosecution if they commit crimes. They should not bring shame and dishonor to the police service. When they will commit crimes, they should be punished like the rest. All the sectors of the society must be covered, and their composition include but not limit to taxi drivers, jeepney and bus drivers, vendors, conductors, waiters, dancers, ex-convicts, shady or underworld characters, hostesses, bankers, security guards, businessmen, prostitutes, the elite in society, and others. These should be planted as moles or stall pigeons practically in the corner of social order. Fourth is critical areas in the deployment of informers. A. Within the ranks of criminals and criminal syndicates. B. Is associates and friend of criminals. C. Is places of hangouts of criminals such as nightclubs, bars, hotels, billiard halls, and other places. D is slums and residential places where criminals have their contacts. E is detention centers such as local jails and National Bureau of Prisons. In many instances, crimes were solved by planting moles. Among detention prisoners in the holding centers of investigate units and in local jails and also in the National Bureau of Prisons through the agreement with prison authorities. F is places where criminals dispose their loots. Fifth is women informers. Most effective among informers because they could easily penetrate the ranks of criminal with less suspicion. Besides, they could mingle with the crowd easily and could obtain informations more than their male counterparts, especially if their beauty attracts attention. They have easier access to women associates of male criminals. However, care should be employed as they could easily double cross to the police once they fall in love with the criminals. Sixth is dual role of the informers. A is identifying and tracing the whereabouts of the suspects. B is gathering the information that will lead to the location and recovery of the evidence such as loot or other pieces of evidence relevant to criminal activities. D is the other source. First is government records, police files, NBI files, Bureau of Immigration files, Comelec files, files from the local jails and the National Bureau of Prisons and other government agencies. Second is private records from private offices and business and non-government organizations. Third is intercepted messages from telephones, cell phones, radio, telecommunications, and other means of communications. Fourth is records of the firearms explosive unit concerning license holders of firearms and authorized professor of explosives. Fifth is fire busting, tracing the chain of possession of firearm from the manufacturer, distributor, seller, and the last processor. They could be done through the files of the NBI and the US police agencies. Six is record of foreign and local manufacturers of vehicles concerning the engine and the chassis, numbers of suspected vehicles uses in the commission of crimes or are the subject or carnapping. Seventh is stored data on computers and cell phones. Only expert must be employed to retrieve this stored data. Rules on computer evidence. A is when the computer is off at the time of arrival, do not turn if on. B. When it is on, do not turn it off, nor touch its mouse or keyboard. C is the unplugging of the computer, whether it is on or off, should be done by pulling out the cable directly from the back of the central processing unit. D is each unplugged cable should be marked in the same marking corresponding for the socket from where the cable was unplugged. E is the computer should be carefully handled and packed for transport to the police station. F is only computer forensic experts should search for any information or evidence contained in the hardware. The last is G. The computer hardware should duplicate by the expert and the original should be kept by the evidence custodian for future court presentation. Search and analysis must be undertaken using the image disk. That's all, sir. Thank you.